What does it mean to be a man today? When you think of masculinity, who do you picture in your mind? The meaning of masculinity has shifted greatly over the last few generations. For lack of a better term, I'm just going to use traditional masculinity to describe what was expected of men of previous generations. To go along with that, there is also traditional femininity. We've seen these stereotypes portrayed in media for decades now. The men keep their emotions and thoughts to themselves. They feel a pressure to appear a certain way, to be viewed as a strong figure, methodical and calculating. Today, we live in a world where the men are encouraged to embrace the parts of them that would have once been considered feminine, and women are encouraged or even pressured to adopt more masculine traits. When I think of what modern masculinity looks like, I think of Jay Pritchett from Modern Family. I think he is everything a modern man should be.
No, arms down. Better arms down. All right. Yeah, that's right. There you go.
When we first meet Jay in the pilot episode, he very much embodies traditional masculinity. He's stoic, tough, suave. He drinks expensive scotches and smokes Cuban cigars. He's a very wealthy man, having made his fortune over the last few decades, running his own company. He is divorced from his ex-wife, and he is traded in for a newer model. What's so great about Modern Family is that it takes this man and puts him in an environment where he either has to get on board or be left at the station. You see, Jay made his fortune at the expense of his family. He worked so goddamn hard that he neglected his kids and drove his wife crazy. Now that he is in a more comfortable position, he is looking to make up for lost time.
That Danish I just ate cost $6. I didn't even blink.
He really does love his family, but this is a modern family. And that opens Jay up to an onslaught of challenges. The show wastes no time in challenging Jay. In the pilot episode, Mitch and Cam mention the idea of adopting a baby. Jay says it's a terrible idea, not knowing that they have already adopted a baby and were trying to surprise everyone. Jay seriously looks like an ass here. We know it as the viewer, and Jay knows it himself. Jay is very, let's just say, uncomfortable with these two men raising a child. Jay's family name being passed on to an adopted child from Vietnam. It's all very weird to him. He would have been raised in a time where it was just man, woman, children, that's it.
No, I got that set up just right. Told you about that before.
The rest of the family surround Mitch and Cam, showing their support, while Jay just stands alone, separated from the group. He realizes that this isn't a good feeling. He would prefer not to feel this way, but he does. Jay was raised by a very tough father. Jay is very much a product of his father. He idolized him. Jay grew up looking at his father, telling himself, I want to be like him when I'm older.
These guys didn't do that crap. These were men.
If Jay's father were here now, in this moment, Jay knows he would not have approved. So Jay has a very important decision to make. Keep following in the ways of his father, or let go of this immense weight he's put on himself to be more like him.
I didn't even cry at his funeral, you believe that? The guy was my whole world. Everybody looking at me like I didn't love him.
So what does Jay do? I'll tell you what he does. He addresses the family, apologizes, and walks over to meet his great-grandchild. Throughout the duration of the show, the family slowly chips away at Jay's hardened exterior, and Mitch and Cam's relationship is perhaps his biggest challenge.
Hey guys, this is Cameron. He's a friend of my son's.
Jay really struggles in coming to terms with the reality that his only son is gay. I think everyone can at least understand why. That would be upsetting initially. A father would want their son to marry a woman, have children that possess their genetics. I don't think that's too controversial. The show doesn't even try to hide Jay's homophobia. It actually makes a point of it, something most media will be too cowardly to display. Jay won't even enter his son's house without making his presence known before entering.
We're here, coming in.
Don't worry, Dad, nothing gay going on here.
There's an episode where it's revealed to us that Mitch really struggles with PDA, and that Jay is the root of this issue. Mitchell can't really recall the last time his dad gave him a kiss. Jay never really showed affection when his kids were growing up, and that really stuck with Mitchell.
Beautiful, Gloria, just like my Mitchell.
This scene is really hard to watch. It plays out like a court scene, where the defendant has been caught in a lie and it's just spiraling. The whole family is essentially ganging up on Jay, pressuring him to give his son a kiss. It's even tougher watching the act be carried out, but Jay does it so he can help his son get over this. I don't want to spend too much longer on Mitch and Cam, but the events surrounding their wedding is worth talking about. For a couple of seasons now, Jay appears to have somewhat at least accepted Mitch and Cam's relationship, but what he hasn't done is accept who he has become, the father of a gay son. Mitch and Cam have really been struggling to find a wedding venue, and when Mitch brings up the idea of having the ceremony at Jay's country club, Jay clearly doesn't want that. He doesn't want his golf buddies seeing him walk his son down the aisle.
Give me some credit. You know how far I've come. I mean, what more do you want from me?
There's a rift between the two of them for multiple episodes. This is something that easily could have destroyed their relationship, and Jay knew it. In typical television fashion, there's a wildfire near the wedding venue. Mitch and Cam are forced to continuously downgrade until they wind up setting up some makeshift ceremony at their house. Everything is a disaster. The flower girl doesn't even have any flowers anymore. Mitch and Jay haven't been speaking. Mitchell is convinced that Jay won't ever change, that they will spend the rest of their days avoiding each other at family gatherings. Then he notices Jay outside on his phone. He thinks Jay doesn't even care about the wedding anymore, when in reality he was on the phone to his country club and calls in a favor.
My son's getting married today.
He helped give his son the wedding he wanted. Jay stood proudly, greeting his pals at the country club, telling them how his son is getting married today. This is perhaps Jay's most significant arc in the whole show.
You take your seat, Dad. We're about to start.
Actually, I thought you and I would take a little walk.
Jay is very much so the family matriarch. You could consider him as their leader, their shepherd. Jay wants nothing more than for everyone in his family to succeed, even if that means making personal sacrifices. Claire and Cam decide they want to partner up, buy a house, renovate it, and flip it. Neither of them get any support from their spouses. They don't believe they can do it. The whole episode is a tug of war between yes, we can do this, and oh my god, what if we can't? But Jay is the one they go to for advice. He advises them not to do it. He says working with family is a stupid idea and that they will probably mess it up. This only spurs Claire and Cam on to pull the trigger, to tackle this challenge head on.
Family and business doesn't mix. You can do whatever you want. Why do I bother?
It is later revealed that Jay wanted them to do it all along, and only discouraged them from doing so because he knew it would motivate them, make them want to prove him wrong. He's totally fine taking the fall if it means his family can soar. I mean, that's a man right there.
You want to know what drove Jay Pritchett? People telling me I wasn't good enough.
I think we can all take something from this. I think this is a must-have trait for the modern man. As Steve Rogers once said, to lay down on the wire and let the other guy crawl over you. Jay also feels a great degree of discomfort in showing appreciation for people. The show doesn't really go into exactly why this is, but I imagine it also stems back to his relationship with his father. Jay idolized his father, inheriting all his best traits. But the other side of that coin is that he also inherited a lot of his worst ones too. A good example of this is Jay's inability to show any appreciation for what Phil has done for him. Jay didn't like Phil when they first met. He was just some loser who took his daughter from him. 15 years later, he has never once given Phil the approval he so desires.
I can't get this new printer to...
I'll be right there. Look, Grandpa needs us!
Phil has been a great husband to Jay's daughter and a fantastic father to his grandchildren, and Jay can't even stand to be alone with him. In the later seasons, Phil just runs out of patience. He confronts Jay on this, backs him into a corner, and what does Jay say?
I'm sorry, Phil.
What makes Jay Pritchett a pillar of modern masculinity is his desire to change. Most men plant themselves like trees and say, no, how come you get to be you, but I can't be me? Jay is stuck in his ways on many things. He is a very stubborn man, but he draws a line when his behavior and actions hurt those closest to him. Those moments are catalysts for Jay. They incite change, and each time, Jay comes out a slightly better version of himself. Each time he comes out a better man.